All right, fans, here we go. It's Battleground time, and tonight we were in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., and this was the big one. There was no turning back, ladies and gentlemen. Whoever won this night was going to be the WWE Champion. That belt was going to be exclusive property of either Raw or SmackDown. And one thing was for sure, history was indeed going to be made. What's going down, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael Fletcher. Welcome to the recap of Battleground, live on the WWE Network. It was from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., at the beautiful Verizon Center, formerly MCI Center. And as always, we got my boy, Anthony the Hitman Florio, you call him ridiculously over, the hardcore pipe bomb Derek Ferrera, the phenom Michael Bullock, the beautiful twisted angel Dee Woodson, and I am the Cerebral Viper. Welcome to this. All right, I laid a couple of ground rules for the guys. Derek, you came in a little bit late, so I do want to do this. The program you're about to witness is a TV 14 show, which means there could be language that may not be suitable to younger viewers. As of now, parental guidance and viewer discretion is advised. I have told the panel that language is okay, but please, no F-bombs. That's the only thing I'm only asking for. Plus, no racist comments and no sexual content either. That's just one thing. Plus, for all you YouTube fans and everybody else, the opinions of our show is of our panelists and panelists only and does not necessarily reflect YouTube, WWE, or any other company in this world. So just to give you a heads up on that. So, with that said, let's start and let's dive right in. We had a pre-show fight, which was the Usos versus Breezango, Fandango, and Tyler Breeze. And when it was all said and done, Breezango won the match. So, big victory for them at unofficially 5 minutes, 26 seconds. We never talk about pre-show fights, so let's dive right in to the main card. The first fight of the night of this card was the tag team women's match. It was Dana Brooke and Charlotte Flair. They went up against Sasha Banks and her mystery partner from NXT, Bayley. That's right, it's Bayley. She was the mystery partner, the one that the whole world was waiting for. And now, does that mean she's part of the WWE roster? We don't know yet. We have to wait and see. The door is still open. She could, maybe, maybe not. We don't know. However, she did show up tonight, and they got the victory. Sasha Banks and Bayley wins the bout unofficially on my scorecard, 7 minutes and 25 seconds. So with that said, Anthony Florio, the host of the Monday Night Wrestling Forum, you lead off, my friend.
All right, thank you very much, Cerebral Viper Michael Fletcher, and hello, friends. Rigorously over Anthony Florio here with you for our Battleground recap edition of the Wrestling Forum. We are delighted to have you as always, and let me tell you, the links have been posted. My Facebook page, the Wrestling Forum Twitter page. I strongly suggest you check those. You click on those links right now because we're going for some records tonight, baby. That's what we want. We want records, and if we don't get records, well, we're going to be a cup of haters. You know what I mean? So. That's all I can say about that. So, yep, Dee Woodson shared it on Facebook, and I believe she also did so on Twitter as well. Good. The more views, the better. So let's do this thing. So that being said, 7 minutes and 25 seconds, the time of the bout. Yep, Fletch, I got the order. So, all right. So, not a big surprise for Bayley to be the mystery partner. I mean, it was expected all along, and the match. I would have to say about 2 to 2.25 stars for the effort. I mean, it was a fine match for what it was. A little too short for my liking, but nonetheless, who cares? Bayley made her long-awaited debut tonight. I mean, of course, the question is going to be, is this a one-shot deal, or is she now officially a part of the main roster? It was good to finally see Bayley on the main roster. I mean, I know there are some who are not crazy about the idea of sending her back to NXT, but perhaps it's just long enough for her to work the NXT Brooklyn during SummerSlam weekend, and then maybe she'll get scooped up as a free agent. Either way, it was great to hear the live crowd so hot for a women's match. I mean, the IWC took over our nation's capital here tonight. If you didn't hear that crowd tonight, I mean that was a wild crowd in DC. So what else is there to say? Actually, I'm going to bump that up a little bit. I'm gonna make that between 2.25 and 2.5 stars. I mean, the women really worked hard tonight in both of the women's matches, and I don't know if we're gonna get a rant from Dee Dee Woodson, because Dee Dee Woodson has been very vocal about the misuse and the underutilization of the women over the last few weeks. But we'll see when we get to her. But for right now, I was fine with it. 2.25, 2.5 stars. And Sasha gets the win with a bank statement on Charlotte. You know what that means. You don't have to wait until Derek Ferreira posts his SummerSlam card prediction blog tomorrow on his sports blog. No. We're going to break it right here and now. You know it's going to happen. Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Women's Championship match, SummerSlam, book it. Derek Ferreira, Hardcore Pipe Bomb, it's all yours.
Yeah, of course, great that you pass that along. I'll have that blog up sometime late afternoon tomorrow, depending what kind of workload Sports Blog does give me. And, of course, I'm covering the International Champions Cup of Soccer. So, yeah. Let me just say it like this. A lot of these matches tonight, I'm probably going to overscore. And second, I think we got a B-rated pay-per-view of the year. And I'm going to give you the rating. Is it a perfect 10? I can't say it's a perfect 10. But it's close. This match, to me, 3 stars. 3 stars. That's what I'm going to say. I mean, this was a good opening match. Once Bayley came out, where was the Bayley? Ooh, ah. I want to know if you be my girl. Where was that? I mean, part of that NXT in London. But yeah, Bayley, we know, the big queen of the IWC. I could say now she's the new queen of the IWC. Sorry, AJ. But with Sasha Banks getting the win, Anthony just blew my cover on what I'm going to say on this, on my blog tomorrow. And there's a lot of question about this because was this a one-shot deal? Well, on Tuesday on my wrestling take, of course, I'll be recapping NXT. And what you're seeing with Bayley is kind of like this Bayley redemption tour. And I'll talk about that because we know what's going to happen in a couple of weeks. No need to spoil it. NXT back in Brooklyn. I'm going to be there. That whole weekend in NYC yet again, like last year. And you're going to see Bayley go up against Asuka one more time. That's what they're going with right now. I know I gave a spoiler, but you know what? Everyone that reads dirt sheets knows what the WWE is doing. So I really think for now, this was kind of like a one-shot deal. And we'll see what happens. So whoever wants to take it, take it.
Michael Bullock, it's yours.
All right. Hello, friends. This is the Phenom Mike Bullock here for our Battleground recap edition of the Wrestling Forum. I'm gonna say 2.5 based on the body of work of the match, but with the way that crowd was into it, especially when Bayley came out, I'm gonna say 3 stars. So 2.5 based on the body of work of the match, but 3 stars because of the crowd. I mean, when they heard that music for Bayley, that crowd in Washington basically just went nuts. And I mean, we all knew this was going to happen, and I read some dirt sheets of why Bayley wasn't drafted, because obviously they wanted to keep this as a surprise. Well, to some fans who don't read dirt sheets, so obviously that's the reason why she wasn't drafted. I know there was probably a lot of people who were upset about it, but you could understand why. So, but either way, it's good to finally see her on the roster, especially on a pay-per-view. And yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think this is only going to be a one-time thing, because I think at the NXT Takeover Brooklyn, she's going to go up against Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship, and maybe after that, then that's when we'll see her part of the main roster full time. But all in getting to this match, I mean, I thought the match was good for what it was. I mean, both women I thought did a good job, and of course, you obviously had to have Sasha Banks go over because of the because you want to make her look good. Because I'm gonna make it 3 for 3 and say it's gonna be Charlotte and Sasha Banks for the Women's Championship at SummerSlam. You could definitely book it on that. So all in all, 2.5 based on the body of work, but because of the crowd reaction, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. So and all I can say is great job, Bayley, on your first match on pay-per-view. So with that being said, Fletch, I guess we just lost Dee Dee Woodson, so I guess I'm gonna give it to you anyway.
Yeah, well, actually, no, we have recovered Dee Dee Woodson. Basically, unfortunately, I won't be able to cover any of the matches because I did miss it. I missed the entire pay-per-view. I did catch the tail end of the WWE title fight, so you're going to get no comments from me tonight. But
Right,
so, Dee Dee Woodson, we're going to pass it off to you. We're still talking about the opening fight of the night, Bayley's debut on the WWE main roster. She teams with Sasha Banks, gets a big victory over Charlotte and Dana Brooke. So it's all yours, my dear.
I actually do not have a whole lot of bad to say about it, because they actually did let the ladies do what we've been pretty much arguing with WWE about. I really enjoyed hearing the fans chanting "Let's go Bayley," and it was just a really, really good match. I really enjoyed it for what it was worth. I will agree with Derek and give it 3 stars. Like I said, I don't have anything bad to say about it, so I'm just going to toss it back to you, Fletch.
And let me tell you guys, for Dee Dee Woodson to give a women's fight 3 stars, that's a major, major accomplishment for WWE. Because I'm telling you, she is the toughest critic when it comes to the women's division. If you pull a 3-star from Dee Dee Woodson on a women's fight, you've done something right. Way to go, WWE. Now, there is another fight later in the evening. We'll get into that in a little bit. But up next, a 6-man tag team fight. It was the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, Erick Rowan, and Braun Strowman versus the New Day, Kofi Kingston, Biggie Langston, and Xavier Woods. The winner of the bout in 8 minutes and 47 seconds was the Wyatts. They get the victory on this one. Derek Ferreira, you lead off.
Yeah, this to me was another good match over here. I'm going to rank it between 2.5 to 3 stars, because this match at first started a little bit slow and boring, but as you go through the match and as you go through the stretch, it really picked up, and you had a hot ending as well. So now there's really a lot of confusion, and the thing about this brand extension and the new era in the WWE is what's going to happen with Bray Wyatt and Erick Rowan. That's the big question, because now they're on SmackDown. You got Braun Strowman. He's now on Monday Night Raw. Do they keep the Wyatt family on a hiatus for now until Luke Harper comes back, and then you can have the 3 Wyatt family guys come back on SmackDown? I don't know. I mean, it's a wait and see type of thing. Also, with the New Day, of course, I know you guys probably talked about it last night on the prediction video, is the New Day is now the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions. I really have to figure out who they're going to go up against at SummerSlam. Like I said, I'll probably have it in my blog tomorrow, most likely, because now you have that tag team division really deep on Monday Night Raw, and there's a lot of teams out there. So it's a mystery. I'll have to try to figure it out by 4 o'clock tomorrow. So hopefully we get some questions on Monday Night Raw starting tomorrow night. So Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna give it. I'm gonna give it about another 2.5 stars. I mean, again, this was another fine match for what it was. I mean, it was a little too short for my liking, but I mean, you gotta like what you. I mean, the action was good for what it was, and the thing is, I like the continued interaction with Bray Wyatt and Xavier Woods. I mean, there are times when Xavier Woods would turn around and see Bray Wyatt, he just freezes, and it's sort of like he's in some kind of a trance. So, yeah, but eventually, of course, Bray capitalizes on it, hits the Sister Abigail, and gets the big win. So, yeah, so now the Wyatt family, they go their separate ways. Of course, Bray Wyatt and Erick Rowan are part of SmackDown. Of course, Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw. So, and of course, we already know the New Day is part of Raw, and of course, the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champs in history. So, 2.5 stars. Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
I would agree, 2.5 stars. Not a bad match, but kind of short. Yeah, the Xavier Wood thing. I'm really curious, what that was all about, because he's been doing that for the last few weeks, and now that Bray's on SmackDown and they're on Raw, it's going to be interesting to see if they continue this or if they just drop it. So, Florio, it's yours.
Well, Bray Wyatt and Erick Rowan are on SmackDown. Braun Strowman's on Raw, and just wanted to clear that up. But nonetheless, 2.5 to 3 stars is the rating. I agree with that. 8 minutes and 55 seconds. The story was that Woods overcame his fear of Wyatt by the end of the bout, but the Wyatts still managed to win. It doesn't really mean anything since Wyatt and Rowan are on SmackDown while New Day is on Raw. Of course, WWE could blow off their own brand split at SummerSlam if they really want to have a rematch. Better yet, they could go back to this feud if they decide to have the champions float between the brands. Crowd was hot, and the match was entertaining for the most part. So 2.5 to 3 stars, I feel, is the correct rating. Derek had it right, so I believe everybody has spoken their piece. So, Michael Fletcher, let's move on to our next match, and we're going to have some fun with this.
The next match for the United States Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Rusev, with Lana against Zack Ryder, the winner of the bout by submission. And still, the United States Heavyweight Champion, Rusev. Michael Bullock, you lead off.
I stand corrected on that fun statement, by the way. All right, Bullet, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bullock.
Looks like Florio jumped the gun on that. So
Yeah, he did jump the gun.
yeah, Fletch, do you have the time for the bout?
Bullock, I actually have it. It was an even 7 minutes.
All right.
Yeah. According to this, 7 minutes and 1 second. I got it on Wikipedia, but it's about right. 7 minutes.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it about maybe. I'm gonna give it an even 2 stars for what it was. I mean, yeah, another match that was too short, but Zack Ryder actually put up a real good fight. I mean, I really thought. I mean, there were times it looked like he was going to win the U.S. Championship, but of course, Rusev was managed to overcome it and with the accolade bending Zack Ryder. But after the match, we get an appearance from Mojo Rawley. He comes out to save his partner, his tag team partner, Zack Ryder, as part of the Hype Brothers. So it kind of makes me wonder: are we going to see Mojo Rawley against Rusev for the United States Championship? Maybe at SummerSlam? I don't know. It's definitely very interesting, but we'll wait and see as we begin the road to SummerSlam. So, 2 stars is my rating. Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
I agree. 2 stars. Decent match. Not much to say about it. So, Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, like I said, I stand corrected on that. We're going to have some fun statement. That's going to be the next bout. Trust me. Are we going to have some fun with the next bout? Nobody more so than me. But nonetheless, I agree with the rating. It is 2 stars for the effort. This goes into one of the low light category. I mean, it was as expected. I mean, it felt like your average TV quality bout. That's what it felt like here. No big surprise with the outcome, with Rusev going over and Mojo Rawley coming out. And could it lead to something with Mojo Rawley and Rusev? I really don't know, considering the fact that these two are on separate brands. Rusev's on Raw, Mojo Rawley's on SmackDown, and I still think they're going to want to start up. They're going to want to have the Hype Brothers teaming up again as part of that tag team division over on SmackDown. You know, with the likes of the Vaudevillains and the Ascension and the American Alpha, just to name a few over there. So that's pretty much all I can say about it. 2 stars for the effort. One of the meh fights of the night. So with that said, Derek Ferreira, your thoughts on this U.S. heavyweight title bout?
2 to 2.5 stars. I mean, it was an okay fight, but it was also unspectacular. I mean, I just wanted to see, some juice pick up in that match. But, it kind of felt like you were watching a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. There really wasn't no chemistry to this. And, yeah, Mojo Rawley, I'll say it like this. I think they're going to do a match. I think there is going to be a Rusev and Rawley feud, because I kind of do have an interesting theory that I'm going to drop in just a little bit. So, back to you, Fletch.
All right. Anthony kind of jumped the gun. I know where he was going with it, but it needs to be stated. The rivalry renewed. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, 1-on-1. The winner of the bout in 18 minutes, 22 seconds. Sami Zayn wins the bout. Dee Woodson, you won the luck of the draw, my dear. You get to lead off on this great match.
I'm going to quote JBL on this and say that this match stole the show. And that it definitely did. It was totally awesome. I mean, you would think at each pinfall that was the last fall, but it wasn't. I mean, they took it to each other, and even took some sour bumps, like Sami hitting the ring with his shoulder as he's taking out Owen on the outside. I mean, they took some really hard bumps that um, make you wonder, if they were even going to continue the match. But they did. It was an awesome match. For me, I would give this about a 4.5-star match, because I mean, this was just really an awesome match. So I'm going to toss it over to Florio.
Yeah, luck of the draw, smiles on Dee Dee Woodson indeed. And what else is there to say except, well, Fletch was off a little bit on the time here. According to my notes, I have 19 minutes and 15 seconds on my notes here, but there's really nothing left for me to say except we all thought the Shield triple threat was going to be the fight of the night. No. JBL had it right. Somebody call the sheriff because these boys just stole the show. I would have said the exact same thing. 4.5 to a 5-star classic. This was unreal. I mean, in the immortal words of Regis Philbin, how in the world were you going to follow that? My gosh. I mean, near fall after near fall. I mean, crazy bump after crazy bump. I mean, this match had it all. And good luck to whoever had to follow this. Everyone else on the card to even come close to topping it. And the WWE creative, when it comes to living up to the hype that this would be their last match, my guess is that the Owens character won't be able to accept the finish and will make Sami's life miserable until they have another match. Sami didn't seem to be selling our pain after the match, so it appears he dodged a bullet on that botched springboard moonsault attempt. Oh my goodness! I mean, we were all holding our breath on our collective breaths on that one. I mean, my goodness, and yeah, even I got a little concerned. I mean, that was the most concern I felt for a performer since that Enzo bump from Payback. But what else is there to say? I mean, other than those couple of little gripes there, this is definitely going into our match of the year candidates, no question about it. I could even go as far as say this is just emerged as a front runner. I mean, I witnessed another 5-star classic of a match, and it wasn't even in WWE. It was in Lucha Underground, Prince Puma and Rey Mysterio. If you haven't seen that fight, I strongly suggest you go out of your way to try to find that fight, because that to me was a 5-star classic, and I'm sure Michael Fletcher will reiterate that during his Mikey's Mindset on Tuesday night, when he does his Mikey's Mindset on the Smack Talk. But oh man, but this one is right up there, along with the near 5-star classic I saw in TNA the other night, which I'll get into tomorrow night on my Tony's Take. But man, oh man, another 5. I mean, this was you could say 4.5 at the absolute worst. I could go as far as to pull the trigger. This to me was a 5-star classic. I don't care what anybody says. That crowd knew it. We knew it. And I'm hopeful. Well, I mean, we'll give Fletcher a pass because he had his work commitments as expected, but I'm hopeful that Michael Bullock, Derek Ferreira, and Dee Dee Woodson, along with myself, I'm hopeful that, along with me, after the match was over, you stood and applauded, because that's what you do when you witness a 5-star classic, like we witnessed here tonight. This is awesome. Fight forever. You damn right. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, whether this was the last match or not, we just want to say thank you for what you guys did tonight. You stole the show, and you gave us a reason to love this business, and that's why we all love this business. We've been watching this for, since we're all little kids, and I'll tell you right now, you brought out the little kid in us tonight. I mean, that was freaking awesome. So, gentlemen, like the late Chief Lynn Thigpen would always used to say on Carmen Sandiego at times, we salute you. That's all there is to say about that. We salute you. I don't care what anybody says. My opinion, I'm sticking to it. 5-star classic, and without question, a front runner in our match of the year when we do our match of the year and rankings at the end of the year. Nothing left to say. Derek Ferreira, how in the world do you follow that? I dare you.
Well, I'm pulling the trigger. And like I said at the beginning of this telecast, I was going to do something that I've never done on a live show before. Well, I've done, but it's been a while since I've done it. This was 5 stars. This was a 5-star classic. This was the fight of the night. I mean, this was just so amazing. And I'm looking at people's ratings over here, and they're saying about this match 4.25 to 4.5. I can see why. I mean, but to me, it's 5 stars, and I'll tell you why. Because you had emotion from both of these guys. You had the hate in this match. I mean, both of these guys hate each other. And these two have great chemistry. I mean, look at what they did in PWG. Look what they did in Ring of Honor. That's what you saw tonight, right there, my friends. That's what you saw. I mean, and I kind of lost where I am going to go with my notes for a moment. But when you look at this, and, you know, we talked about emotion, you know, you saw that in this fight tonight, and you translate that into the wrestling ring. That's what the audience wants to see. They want to see that kind of story, that kind of emotion, and this was so freaking good. Oh yeah, Shakespearean drama. Now, like I said the other night on Tuesday, I was kind of surprised that they did not separate them in the draft. You know, Florio was right on that. Zayn could have went to SmackDown. Kevin Owens on Raw. And even before this match was made, we kind of figured that, you know, you have to separate them. Because, who knows, these two could be in the same, you know, brand yet again and do this all over again. But, to me, I gotta say this is right now the match of the year. Right now, my top match of the year. And it's over, I can't believe I'm saying that, over Nakamura and Zayn from NXT TakeOver Dallas. But we still have 5 months left in the calendar. What's SummerSlam weekend going to give to us? What's New Japan going to give to us with the G1 Climax? I haven't seen a 5-star since I've been watching that religiously every day, and I will be doing so tomorrow morning. So, yeah, fight of the night and Michael Bullock, 5 stars or not? It's your opinion. It's yours.
Yes, I do agree. This was a 5-star classic fight of the night. I mean, what else can you say about this? I mean, this was just so freaking awesome. I mean, both of these two laid it out there in the ring, and I was even standing and clapping after the match. I mean, and this is also a contender for fight of the year, and many people were saying, "Oh, that triple threat WWE title match is going to steal the show." This match here stole the show, so there's really nothing more for me to say. I mean, you guys pretty much touched on it all, so 5 stars, fight of the night. I say we just move on.
And you know, whenever there's a fight of the night and a great match, there's always that where's cool down fight. We need a cool down fight so we can collect our thoughts and get ready for the rest of the evening. I think I found the perfect cool down fight. Natalya, one-on-one with Becky Lynch, the winner of the bout by submission, Natalya. Anthony Florio, was this the perfect cool down fight?
Well, I'll sum it up like this. It was a 9-minute match. I feel bad for both women. They had a perfectly fine match, but the live crowd never got engaged because they were still recovering from the previous match. I like Natalya going over and that it keeps the feud going. I would have to say pretty much I'm going to give it pretty much the same rating I gave the other women's match, between 2.25 and 2.5 stars. I mean, the match was fine. It's just the live crowd wasn't into it. I mean, you can't blame them. I mean, they were exhausted. They were mentally and physically drained after the 5-star classic Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens gave us. But I wouldn't go as far as to call it the perfect cool-down fight. I mean, had this been a typical ho-hum diva fight, then yes. But no, this was not a ho-hum diva fight in my eyes. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but to me, it didn't really have the feel of a typical ho-hum diva fight. So there's really nothing left for me to say about it. This feud will continue. I mean, I said this feud was going to continue no matter who went over, but Natty went over, so it'll be fun to have Becky, chasing Natty until Becky gets her comeuppance. We'll see if they carry it over into SummerSlam or if it's going to be on the TVs because they're both on SmackDown. So we'll see what happens. But between 2.25 and 2.5 is the best I can give it. Fine match for what we had in the 9 minutes. So, Derek Ferreira, it's yours.
Yeah, same with the first match, same rating. I'm going to give about 2.5 to 3 stars. I mean, I like the body of work. I'm going to admit to that. I mean, Natalya, I thought her body of work was great. Becky Lynch, I mean, she just sold her tail off, and you kind of knew when you saw the, I like to call it a cheap shot finish. You knew that this was going to extend this feud, and I even said it in my blog on Friday. But Anthony's right. I mean, the crowd was not really into this at all. I mean, despite the body of work. So SummerSlam, I can pencil that in for SummerSlam because now that you have SummerSlam that's going to be a 4-hour show, you're going to get another Divas match out of this. And, I'll put that on my blog tomorrow. So, Didi Woodson, Didi or Bullock, it's yours.
It's actually my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do agree. I mean, I'm actually gonna say 2.75 stars. I mean, I thought the women here put in a real good effort. I mean, yeah, the crowd really wasn't much into it, but and you can't blame them because they're recovering from the 5-star classic we had with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So, I mean, these women, they tried everything they could to get the crowd into it, but they just weren't into it, and they really busted their ass off to put on a solid match for what it was. So, yeah, and I do agree this match is gonna. I mean, this feud's gonna continue at SummerSlam. So 2.75 stars. Didi Woodson. What's your approval of this women's match?
Well, I wasn't too thrilled with where they placed it because, like y'all said, you're coming off of the match of the night to a Divas match, and it just lost a lot of luster because of the fact of where it was placed. I would agree, though, it was about a 2.5 to 3 star fight. But it wasn't. It was not one of your ho hum diva fights, so I'm not gonna rant on it because it was about as good as the tag match. So I'll kind of leave it to there. So Fletch, it's yours.
All right, and we're going to get right into the next fight of the night, and it is for the Intercontinental Championship. The Miz with Maryse puts the title on the line against Darren Young with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. Bob Backlund. Unfortunately, the fight gets thrown out. It ends in a double disqualification. Well, initially I heard double disqualification. Some in the dirt sheets were saying it was a double count out. Whatever the case may be, it was a crooked finish. You don't get a winner. Basically, the title goes back to The Miz. Miz keeps the belt and gets to take the Intercontinental title off to SmackDown. He goes, and I believe this is Michael Bullock. I believe it's Bullock's, right?
No, actually, it's mine. It's mine. But I'll take.
Oh, it's Derek. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's right. I stand corrected.
All right. God, what can I say about this? 1 to 1.5. I mean, you had what was it? What I said earlier. I can't even get it out of my head. You had that cheap shot finish in that Divas match. This was your cop-out finish, and I have to say this quickly. Why? You should have put in this match after Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Hello? And then put the Divas match next. So there was a problem with how they actually placed this on the card. So I heard double count out, double disqualification, but either way, this was not good. I was not really interested in the fight, and then all of a sudden you went with the cop-out finish. So that keeps the title on The Miz, and I guess this was a way kind of to protect Darren Young, because Darren Young now has this, if you saw after the match how he put the crossface chicken ring, I think it was on The Miz. I believe it was The Miz. He put the crossface chicken ring on, and he did like that Bob Backlund trance when Bob Backlund became a heel, like, you know, a la 1994. So this was the worst fight of the night. I was not surprised by this. I had this on my blog that this match was basically going to happen yet again. I think this is going to happen at SummerSlam, and this is where my theory comes into play. If Darren Young, which I think could win this IC title at SummerSlam, he takes the title to Raw, and like I said the other day, that title should be on Monday Night Raw, not on a B-rated show like SmackDown Live. You want to have more prestige to that Intercontinental Championship, put it on a main show, Monday Night Raw. Mojo Rawley beats Rusev, U.S. title goes to SmackDown. That's the way I see it. I know some people are going to disagree with me on that, but, you know, it's just my opinion. I think this match is going to happen yet again at SummerSlam. So, Bullock, it's yours.
I hate to say it, but I'm going to give this a no rating here. I mean, there was no winner in this match, but I do agree this was the worst fight of the night. I mean, this was, I hate to say it, this was one of your bathroom break matches here, and basically that's what it was here, so I'm not going to waste any more time on this. No rating for me. Dee Woodson, what says you?
Oh, boy. Oh. Where do you start? I know I can agree with a lot of comments Derek just said, especially the one where, like I said, the ladies' match was placed in a bad spot. I agree, these should have been flip-flopped. This was probably, for me, one of the worst, not just the worst match, but I mean just the worst situation that they've even thought about putting a title in. I mean, you've got Maryse out there who's going to put on her little drama show just so she can try to get her husband to keep the title on a DQ. And then you have Miz, who has to go and insult assault Backlund any way he can, and Maryse slapping him. I mean, it wasn't even a match. It was more like just a one of these soap operas you'd see on TV. It was terrible. I can't even rate it either. It's worthless. It's pointless, and it was stupid. It didn't even deserve to be on the card if it was going to end up like this, or even be anywhere near what you. I mean, it wasn't anywhere near what you wanted to see on a pay-per-view. I mean, it wasn't even. It would be worth being thrown on like Superstars or something, not a pay-per-view. It's totally sucked. So, Florio, I'm done. Go for it.
I'm NAing this too. But even with the NA rating, this still to me was the worst fight of the night. I mean, it was a mess. Once again, Darren Young comes out, and you could hear a pin drop. That's just how I feel about it. But nonetheless, the effort was there. I mean, the finish was just as messed up as it can get. I mean, typical PG booking. That's as far as I can say. It was a lazy booked finish there, and it's gonna lead. I assume it's probably gonna lead. It's gonna lead to a rematch down the road, maybe at SummerSlam. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, this was a mess. This was a cool down fight. This should have been after Zayn and Owens, not Becky and Natalya. But it is what it is. That's the only real gripe we have about this show. But other than that, there's nothing else I can say about it. So NA for me. So with that said, Fletch, I think a certain favorite of yours made his long-awaited return tonight. Am I not right about that?
Old, not yet. That's the next one. Before this, what we had was a 6-man tag team fight. It was John Cena, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass versus the Club, AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. The winners of the bout in this 6-man match thriller was Enzo Amore, Big Cass, and John Cena. They win it. And now I believe Michael Bullock, you lead off.
All right. What was the time of the fight?
Unofficially on my end, I got 14 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna give it about. I'm gonna go somewhere between 3 to 3.5 stars. I thought the match was really good for what it was. I mean, of course, Enzo and Cass cutting their usual promo before the match, but the action here I thought was spot on, and of course, no surprise, Cena got the pinfall with an AA from the I think it was from the second rope, but he got the win over AJ. So basically, now this is going to lead to a John Cena AJ Styles match at SummerSlam. You could definitely book that. So 3 to 3.5 stars. I'm gonna. Yeah, this was definitely another one of the top fights of the night. I'll probably say somewhere between second to third best fight of the night. Somewhere between that. So Dee Woodson, what says you?
I actually really enjoyed this match. I'm definitely going to rate it a little bit higher. I'm going to go ahead and go up to 4 stars. That, in my opinion, I thought it was, it was just really well. I'm one of the ones that I really didn't care who won because I like both guys, but in the end, I was kind of hoping Cena would pull it off, and he did because AJ has won just about every time they've met. So it was good to see that they let them pull it off this time. I definitely liked the bit with Enzo and Cass beforehand. In fact, my 19-year-old was sitting in here, and he had never watched Enzo and Cass. And he actually said, "I don't understand these guys, but I like them. They're weird." So if you can get my 19-year-old to actually like a team, then I guess that they have to be pretty darn good for his books. So like I said, about a 4-star match. So I'm going to toss it over to Florio.
I have another little time difference on my end. Even 16 minutes is what I had on my end. It turned into more of a brawl than a 6-man tag with actual rules, but everything about it was fun. From Enzo Amore's outstanding pre-match mic work and through the finish, the live crowd was hot for the match. I'm very curious to see where they go with the club now that Styles is SmackDown bound and Anderson and Gallows are on Raw. Nonetheless, third best fight of the night, 3.5 to 4 stars. And with Cena, Enzo, and Cass winning it, it just proved that at least on this night, that club, there's only one word to describe you, and we're gonna spell it out for ya. S-A-W-F-T. Soft. Derek Ferreira, it's yours. And by the way, Cena AJ blow off at SummerSlam. You heard it here first.
You got that right, but I like where they're going with this. And yes, I'm going to say 3.5 to 4 stars because, you got that Cena versus AJ 2 in Brooklyn. And then, of course, the club. What's interesting about, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, I think you're going to get a tag team match between those two for SummerSlam because of how they're on the Raw brand. Could they have a little insurance policy in Finn Balor? And I still want to see that, that whole Balor Club on Monday Night Raw because, how much I'm a big fan of, the Bullet Club. And so, anyways, this match basically allowed John Cena to really get his revenge. But even though this was not a singles match, it does plant the seeds for that rematch. And like I said, 3.5 stars to 4 at the best. Third best fight of the night. This was just a fun match. This was just a crazy match. And back to Michael Fletcher.
Now, Anthony, it's the moment that I was waiting for. The whole world wanted to hear the return of Randy Orton. He was on the highlight reel. He made his grandioso return and then decided to make it personal, taking a few shots at Brock Lesnar and his recent drug suspension. Well, basically his failure on the drug testing as it pertains to UFC 200, and he poked the bear a little bit, and then delivers an RKO to Chris Jericho when the whole segment was all said and done. The Viper is back and better than ever. Dee Woodson, you lead off, my dear. What are your feelings about the whole segment, and how excited are you for Lesnar versus Orton, the Beast versus the Viper at SummerSlam?
Well, the first thing I thought of when Orton came out was, if Fletch is watching this, he's marking out, because I know how big you are on Orton, but of course you're big on Lesnar as well. As far as the two of them meeting at SummerSlam, after hearing Lesnar flunking 2 drug tests, in my opinion, I don't think the match should happen, but they didn't ask me. So, it's going to be a good, if Orton, or no, if Lesnar is clean when the match time comes, this will be, I would think, a very, very good match, one that will be really exciting to look forward to. I'm I know Orton kind of took a little bit of a, without actually saying that Lesnar was on any kind of drug, enhancements, that he kind of hinted it in some of the comments he made tonight. Loved how he took out Jericho tonight. That RKO just out of nowhere. Those kind of moves, just totally awesome. He definitely knew how to handle Jericho, because we pretty much knew Jericho was going to be throwing all these Lesnar comments in his face. Orton looked really good for being out for 9 months, and seeing him coming back as a face, just awesome to have that happen after Rollins coming back as a heel. So, I mean, this very good segment. Definitely was worth the effort they put into it and the time. And, great to see Orton back. Can't wait to see what he can do now that he has returned, and seeing what he can do to help boost SmackDown, seeing as he's on SmackDown now. So I'll toss it over to Florio.
Of course, it's obviously the segment of the night. I mean, because this was the only real in-ring segment there was. An excellent verbal segment. Jericho may have delivered his finest work as a heel talk show host. Orton showed more personality than he has in years. He's not just a silent and deadly viper. He was much more personable and relatable. They also did a really nice job of putting over the Orton-Lesnar match at SummerSlam. The no enhancements needed line was a fun scripted dig. We say some people would say it's scripted because it would be pretty rich for Orton to work that in without permission, given his own history, because he's had some wellness violations himself. So, but no, this was an amazing verbal segment, and it definitely ranks up there as one of the in-ring segments of the year. Of course, that award, we already know what the in-ring segment of the year is. You already know what that is by now. So, we'll get more into that at the end of the year, trust us. But nonetheless, very good verbal segment. I mean, normally I don't like verbal segments during pay-per-views, but only unless, of course, they're necessary and whatnot. One of those rare times where I say this was actually necessary. So, great job, Chris Jericho. Great job, Randy Orton. Well done. One of the better verbal segments on pay-per-view that I've seen in a while. So, I don't know what else there is to say except Derek Ferrera, your thoughts on this highlight reel with Chris Jericho and the returning Randy Orton.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the segment of the night, but you kind of knew it was actually a fun segment, but you kind of knew it was going to be predictable in a way because, Jericho was going to get RKO'd, and what really shocked me over here was when Orton said, and I quote, "no enhancement needed" about Brock Lesnar. And we know about what happened with Brock Lesnar recently because of the 2 failed drug tests. If you saw Strictly Sports Friday night, my Derek TV segment, I talked about it. And that was really the first topic that was on the docket. But I'm kind of was like, are they going to address this? And they actually did. So I'm a little shocked that they did address it. And that's actually a good sign because, it's a big topic in the sports world. You want to have this match big. You want to have this match have, some kind of personal feel to it. And we got in the match with SummerSlam. This is a match I wanted to see because, this is to me I would say a 4 years in the making. Because I wanted to see Lesnar's second opponent be Randy Orton. Or any fight for WrestleMania. This could have been a great WrestleMania fight. But with what Lesnar did with his fight against Ambrose at WrestleMania 32, I don't know we're going to have that match. And I say that because we all said that Lesnar and Ambrose was going to be a 4.5 star fight. And what happened? it was a disappointment. To me, I want to see a really good wrestling match between these two. I just don't know if we're going to have it. So, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, without a doubt, this was the segment of the night. I mean, good to see Orton back and show a little bit of a lighter side, but you knew that at some point at the end, Randy Orton was going to get it. I mean, not Randy Orton, Chris Jericho was going to get it. I mean, basically trying to stir the pot with the big match that Randy Orton has against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, saying, "Oh, you're scared," and that basically you're a stupid idiot to step into the ring with Brock Lesnar. But yeah, Randy Orton tried. I mean, faked out Jericho the first time with it, but then second time surprised him with the RKO and took him out. So yeah, so it's all I can say is I'm very excited about this match, and it's like 14, 15 years in the making, and it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out as the road to SummerSlam begins. So, segment of the night. So, with that being said, let's move on to the main event. Fletch.
The main event for the WWE Championship in a triple threat match. The champion, Dean Ambrose, versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. This is very important, guys, because whoever wins this fight gets to take the belt to their respective show. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins representing Monday Night Raw. Dean Ambrose represents SmackDown Live. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the bout and World Wrestling Entertainment Champion, the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose. He successfully defends the title tonight. Anthony Florio, you lead off.
I believe I had this one. Just wanted to be sure on that. Okay. Yeah, we did the preview video, myself, Fletch, and Bullock last night. I know Fletch had Seth Rollins winning. I don't know who Bullock had. I think he might have had Seth Rollins too. But I had Dean Ambrose winning this match, and I told you it was going over. And how about it? He gets the winning fall on Roman Reigns. I mean, oh yeah. That's gonna get you a pop from the IWC crowd, no doubt about it. 18 minutes and 5 seconds, the time of the bout. Second best fight of the night on my end. 4.25 stars. Very good main event with the broadcast team and the locker room shots doing an effective job of selling the idea that only one brand could end up with the title. In fact, Michael Cole had a nice night in general of selling the brand split. Of course, I'm not going to suspect Raw will actually go without a world title for long, but it still worked in the moment. I'm not really big on wrestlers breaking the babyface and heel barrier to celebrate as a brand, but this is an exception, and that Ambrose's win means they can all compete for the championship. Thus, I don't take this as a rah-rah SmackDown moment, as I do the wrestlers selfishly wanting to compete for the WWE Championship. And the best part about all that, when that 3 went down, Daniel Bryan, oh man, did you see Daniel Bryan going nuts on the outside? That was awesome. I would have done the exact same thing if it was me. I mean, Daniel Bryan was practically the first out of the chair, and then seeing him and Shane O'Mac running around like little kids on Christmas morning. I mean, that's what those two were like. I mean, it was like those two, either like two kids in a candy store with a free lifetime pass, or like two little kids on Christmas morning, getting ready to open the gifts. But nonetheless, I mean, what a great moment that was. I mean, it takes you. I mean, I actually was having flashbacks to the 2005 Survivor Series after Randy Orton won that traditional Survivor Series elimination match when the SmackDown brand celebrated with Randy Orton, and of course all the superstars and divas of the SmackDown roster, along with Shane O'Mac and Daniel Bryan celebrating. I mean, that was awesome. But very good main event. I mean, we knew it was going to be great. Greatest triple threat match of all time? No. That's still Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit from WrestleMania 20, in my opinion. But a great way to close out what was a very strong and newsworthy Battleground pay-per-view. And since this Battleground concept started a few years ago, far and away the best Battleground out of all the Battlegrounds we've had since 2013. So, oh man, what else is there to say except second best fight of the night, 4.25 stars, just the best I can go. So with that being said, Derek Ferreira, Shield triple threat. Did it live up to the hype for you or what?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had Ambrose winning that match too. I had to go back onto my blog quickly because I know the other Bullock and Fletch had Rollins winning, so I was like, at least somebody had Ambrose. And I was surprised that we actually had a clean finish here. Once you had Mick Foley, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, and Daniel Bryan coming out, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a whole bunch of shenanigans. This is probably going to be at least 5 or 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden they'll save it for SummerSlam. But I mean, the first half was like really slow, and I'm going to be honest, I was kind of losing interest in it at one point. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be at least a 3 to 3.5 star fight. But then the second half, you had, the crazy spots. I mean, you had some of that in that match. You had the near falls. You had the Shakespearean drama. And then you had the Dean Ambrose winning. I can't say, like I said, I'm surprised about it. So it just really made it into a very good main event. And now Raw doesn't have a championship belt. What's going to happen? Well, I read a dirt sheet earlier today that WWE is going to introduce another championship belt, according to some of the reports that I found. And could it possibly mean that Reigns and Rollins at SummerSlam for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt? We'll have to wait and see. But I think that's a route that they're going to go with. So 4.25 stars, second best fight of the night. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I do agree. 4 to 4.25 stars, second best fight of the night. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, this was a very good triple threat match. And yeah, I mean, now the WWE Championship is on SmackDown, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens come tomorrow night on Raw with what they're going to do about it. So there's really nothing more to say. You guys pretty much touched on it. So 4 to 4.25 stars. Dee Woodson, what says you?
I pretty much agree with the rating. It was a very good triple threat match. No, it wasn't the best in the world, but yeah, it was a really good one. Might not have been on the prediction show that y'all did, but I pretty much had Ambrose winning this one as well. So I'm not going to say too much more on it. I'm just going to toss it back to Fletch.
And actually, to harp off on Derek Ferreira before we get into the overall reviews for the night, there's actually rumors that what might happen is Dean Ambrose might be awarded a different championship belt, one custom made in SmackDown Blue, and that belt might be presented to Dean this Tuesday night on SmackDown Live, where Dean Ambrose will have a custom made WWE Championship belt to signify that that belt will be exclusively to the SmackDown brand. There has been some talk about a creation of a second belt and whatnot, and what I believe is that this could possibly happen. There has been some rumors about it. I don't know if it's true or not, but that is what I've heard, is that once Dean Ambrose actually got the job done and won the title tonight, that now they're talking about possibly awarding Dean this customized SmackDown version of the WWE title that could be presented to him on Tuesday night on behalf of Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. But we'll wait and see if that actually does come to fruition or not. Now, let's dive in. Overall review time for this Battleground pay-per-view. Derek Ferreira, you lead off. I know you said that this was your B pay-per-view event of the year. How good was it?
Well, I'm going to say it at best, and like I said, I'm going to shock a lot of people with the rating. This is not a perfect 10, for one. 9 to 9.5 out of 10. I can go low as 8.5 because I just did that poll on ProWrestling.net, and I gave it an A show. But the majority of the people on there are saying a B show. You had, let me just say, 2 very good matches. Of course, the fight of the night, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You know that's big bonus points on how I'm going to rate things because this was a 5-star classic. And then you had that Shield triple main event. And it really gave us a nice story of what's going to happen between the 2 new brands. I mean, what's going to happen with Raw, what's going to happen with SmackDown. Yeah, the worst fight of the night was the IC title match, but everything on the show tonight was just solid to excellent. Third best fight of the night was the 6-man tag team match, and, you know, tonight, Monday Night Raw, we start a new era. We're going to get new logos, which, let me just say it like this, I hate the new Raw and SmackDown logos. Why do they have to change it? Why? Ridiculous. And there's a lot of dismay within the IWC about it. Of course, you know, new commentary teams. Of course, tomorrow night, you got Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxon on the Raw brand. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a new show, so to say. And let the road to SummerSlam begin. Because in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be in Brooklyn for this yet again, and I'm going to be covering it in Brooklyn, New York. So 9 to 9.5 out of 10, that's what I'm going to give it. I can go as low as 8.5 out of 10, and yes, this was my B-rated show of the year right now. So, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I agree. It was an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. This was a damn good pay-per-view. I mean, of course, I do agree with the worst fight of the night being the IC title match, which I gave it a no rating. Fight of the night, no doubt about it. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The second best fight of the night was the triple threat WWE title match. Third best fight of the night, 6-man tag with John Cena and Enzo and Cass against the Club. And everything else was I mean, all the other matches I thought were good. So let the road to SummerSlam begin, and of course, the new era will officially start tomorrow night with Monday Night Raw. So 8.5 to 9 out of 10. So Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
I pretty much agree with the rating. I mean, it had its ups, it had its downs, a lot more ups than downs. But you had at least 3 really great matches there that pretty much, you know, carried the show over, along with Orton's return at the highlight reel. You know, in my opinion, I think the Zayn Owen match was definitely like the sleeper fight of the night, because it was you know, it was one of these matches you didn't expect to be as big as it was, and you know they gave their all there. Thumbs up on the Divas matches actually being, half decent matches. Just WWE needs to work on some scheduling of when matches come up, and definitely not have a clunky match like the IC match ever again. That kind of drama does not belong in a wrestling show. Save that for your soap operas that are on daytime TV. So I'm going to toss it over to Florio.
8.5 to 9 out of 10 is the correct rating. I agree with that. Yeah, The Miz and Darren Young stunk up the joint with that horrific finish. Don't even get me started on it. But let's focus more on the positives than the negatives, considering how much I hate negativity in this world and how much I embrace the positivity. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn stole the show with the 5-star classic that they had. Shield triple threat, second best fight of the night, 4.25 stars on that. And then rounding out the top 3, the 6-man tag, Cena, Enzo, and Cass over the club. That was 3.5 to 4 on that front. And then you had the 2 women's matches, which I thought were both really good. 2.25 to 2.5 on both of those counts. Same can be said for the other 6-man with the Wyatts and the New Day. And a 2-star effort with Rusev and Ryder, but that IC title fight was the only real downer of the night. Other than that, I mean, it could have given a run for its money for pay-per-view of the year. And of course, throw in a very good highlight reel segment with Chris Jericho and Randy Orton. So looking at the early schematics for SummerSlam, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the WWE Championship. I mean, and there's still a part of me that think it's going to be Dean Ambrose against Roman Reigns. But we'll have to wait and see how they decided to go about that. Other fights that here are the fights that we do know. We already know Randy Orton's going to go up against Brock Lesnar. That's already set in stone. Of course, I think it's safe to say we can book a John Cena AJ Styles matchup here. Charlotte, Sasha Banks finally for the women's championship, and that's really all I can think of right now. We're just going to have to wait and see how the events play out over the next month as we get ready for the biggest party of the summer in SummerSlam next month in Brooklyn. So, well done, WWE. It's one of the rare times you actually gave us a great night. No more back to reality nonsense. And I'll sum it up. Before we wrap it up with Fletch. I'll sum it up by saying this. Overall, it was a very strong and newsworthy show. Of course, with the appearance of with the debut of Bayley, and of course that surprise appearance by Mojo Rawley as well. A strong and newsworthy show in which the draft really overshadowed the event, even though WWE tried to save the bulk of the draft hype for the final week. But the show was filled with very good matches, and the crowd was hot with the exception of a lull that followed the Owens-Zayn match. This pay-per-view tonight, Battleground, and the draft have me looking forward to both Raw and SmackDown Live in Pittsburgh and Buffalo, respectively. So that's all there is to say about it. 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Definitely will be going into our top 10 shows of the year at the end of the year. So really nothing left for me to say except Michael Fletcher, let's put a ball on this thing.
And we are done. That's it, guys. Tomorrow night is another edition of the Wrestling Forum at 11 p.m. Eastern, immediately following Monday Night Raw. Anthony Florio will host it. We will recap Raw, the first show of the brand extension. From there, the Tony's Take will also commence as well. And I believe Derek Ferreira says he's going to make a special appearance. What's he going to bring to the table? We will find out. Then Tuesday night is the Smack Talk, the brand new Tuesday night show by the Wrestling Forum. It'll be right here on this channel again. We're going to be talking about SmackDown Live, the first show of that brand extension. Plus, I got a lot to cover on basically, I got Ring of Honor, I got Lucha Underground, the Ultimo Luchadors, and recap of the Summertime Showdown, which was the RWA show. According to one of my insiders, history was made at the show. This afternoon, we have a new Renegade Wrestling Alliance Hype Champion. Who's the new champ? You'll have to wait Tuesday night to find out. That's at 10:30 Eastern, right here on Breeze Fan 95, YouTube.com. And then, of course, we got a lot of course, and then Strictly Sports. That's on Friday. We'll cover that tomorrow. So, until then, for Derek Ferreira, for Didi Woodson, for Michael Bullock, Anthony Floyo, I'm Mike Fletcher. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow. We'll see you later on tonight for another edition of the Wrestling Forum. So long for now.